Good morning. We are going to talk about the collapse of Trump's extortion presidency. It's happening right now. There are tons of different facets involved with this collapse. It's not just one thing, but we are going to talk about a couple things that are happening that just kind of give you a view as to what's going on. Over the next several shows, we're going to talk about different things that are going on. We're going to focus on a couple today, so let's just dig right into it. Let's do this. If you want to have a good idea of what's happening now or in the future, it's always good to know your history. It is. Very little of what we do as creatures has is brand spanking new, something that nobody's ever done before. That is one of the rarest things ever. That's one of the rarest unicorns in all existence, is somebody that does something that has not been done before. So if you're watching what's going on and you know your history, it's kind of gives you an idea of where things are going to go. George, thanks for supporting the show, brother. I appreciate you always being here. I do. This is William McKinley. This is William McKinley. Uh, I love history. I do. I love history. I talk about it a lot, but I absolutely hate historians. Not all of them. Some of them are really good. There's a guy on, if you love short little, you want to see something that's really fascinating. There's a guy by the name of Roy Casagrande, that's got a YouTube channel that he does a really good job of really short snippets. And he loves history. He talks about history. He gets really excited about it. If you're not a person that really is into history, he is a good segue into it. He really is. Highly recommended. But for the most part, I hate historians because they talk too damn much. They do. This is good advice, not just for looking at history, but for personal relationships. Just good overall advice. Don't pay attention to what people say. Pay attention to what they do and what happens. Because more often than not, the shit that comes out of people's mouth is just there to muddy the waters. And if you hear historians talk about McKinley, they'll tell you he was a halfway decent president. He is not. He is not. He never has been. He was responsible for the Dingley tariffs, and they were just a disaster. Our Canadian brothers and sisters in the audience will be able to tell you about the Dingley tariffs. They are a mess. 1 second. One second. Getting a technical complaint. I want to run it down, make sure we're good. No, we're good. We're good. All right. No. But yeah, the Dingley tariffs, a lot of which were aimed at Canada, just like you're seeing now with Trump. Not specifically, but a lot of them were aimed at Canada. The goal that William McKinley had was to try to force Canada to do more business with the United States, to try to punish them into doing more business with the United States. And I know, saying that out loud, it just sounds really freaking stupid. It didn't. It didn't. It ended up forcing Canada to do more business with Britain and the UK. Yeah. That's what it did. That is what it did. It forced, don't listen to the talk. Don't listen into anything. If you go back and you look at the numbers, you look at the relationship, the Dingley tariffs ended up absolutely wrecking our relationship with Canada and driving Canada closer to Britain. It's indisputable. Indisputable. It's just a fact. That's what happened. So we know tariffs don't really work well as a cudgel, especially in our increasingly global economy. I mean, the economy's always been global. You've seen empire after empire after empire come and go, and it's always surrounding trade. But no, I mean, today we are really good at global trade. So all the nonsense you hear about tariffs, all the talk you hear about tariffs, you know what they're going to do. You know what the net results are. If you tariff somebody, you're not going to improve your relationship with them. You're going to drive them away from you. You are. And that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened with Canada and Mexico. Yeah. I mean, it's 100%. Canada and Mexico are now doing more business with China than ever. Trump's tariffs absolutely drove them into the open arms of China. Stupid. Just absolutely stupid. Unless that was the intent. Unless you're the kind of person that does everything via extortion. Unless that's what you meant to do. Which at this point, if you just take all the language, all the verbiage, all the bullshit, all the press fluff, and you just look at what's happened, that's what's happened. Trump did something we know causes this effect, and this effect happened. Then go back and try to figure out the wheres and the whys, instead of listening to the excuses and the bullshit and the narratives up front. Just look at what happened and then understand, then go back and try to understand the wheres and whys. Jordan B. Miller. We were good before Trump. Now Trump is closing the Gordie Howe Bridge. But that's the center of our show today. Y'all are always so far ahead of what we're talking about. You're always so far ahead. I love it. I absolutely love it. DJB, thank you for supporting the show, brother. Thank you for supporting the show. But yeah, look at Elon Musk. Look at Elon Musk. Absolutely destroyed his customer base. His longest green, even though he's tried to branch out, like with Tesla semis, which were not aimed towards the liberal base so much as the conservative base. That hasn't worked. The Boring Company. He's tried several different things to get him out from under the thumb of his liberal customer base, but it just hasn't worked very well. He's made some money off of SpaceX. government contracts. But for the most part, his valuation comes from Tesla. And Tesla's core customer base was always the left and the liberal left. And he took a giant shit all over that base. Supporting Trump and all of his bullshit narratives, everything that he did with Doge, everything absolutely actively worked to destroy his base. Why would he do that? There were some investigations. Yeah, the people will point to that. Oh, well, he was trying to bribe his way out of going to jail and stuff like that. But the guy, the justice system doesn't really work that way with billionaires. It just doesn't. Again, ignore the talk and look at the history. Billionaires don't go to jail. That doesn't happen. They pay some fines and move on. What could be bigger than, I don't know, financial threat, criminal threat? I don't know. Sean Salisbury, thank you. I appreciate you. That would make Elon Musk go all in. And yeah, I mean, there's everything we talk about today. The points I make will not be the entire point. There are things like this. Yeah, Musk is a drug addict. Jordan B. Miller, great point. Great point. 100%. One second. I got to pause the show, and I got to go neck deep into somebody's ass. Hold on. Diane, are you fucking stupid? Did you really come here to do this shit today after I have just spent how many shows, how much of my personal time telling people, don't be fucking stupid about the election. We've got 8 months to the fucking election. And you showed up to say this? Fuck you. You're out. You're out. I mean it. I want the mods. I want her out of this channel, and I want her out of the channel for fucking ever. Don't email me. Don't anything. If you're that fucking stupid, you don't belong to be in this audience. Are we talking about that today? No, we're not, Diane. Get the fuck out the airlock. E.T. Musk is polluting near his new battery plant in Texas. Makes you wonder what he's doing in Boca Chica, Massey's, and others. There are tons of things going on. Just tons of things. All right. Can you stop with the notes, please, for a second? Thanks. Jeremy Breeden. While Cletus sits on his ass defending Epstein and his associates, let's give a shout out to the people in Minnesota and across the country getting it done and resisting ICE. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Well said, Jeremy. Well said. But yeah, let's just look at what's going on. Why would Elon Musk, if you ignore all the rhetoric, why would he do that? Is it because as long as green is under threat? Is it because he's trying to protect his share of the American EV market? While China is working its ass off to move into every other market. I told you, I was just amazed when I got down to Panama and we were walking around, the number of Geelys, Chinese car company, the number of BYDs. I mean, China is moving it out with its auto industry. I mean, they are doing all of the soft diplomacy necessary to support their corporations. Tesla is screwed if BYD ever hits this market. They are absolutely screwed. Musk's entire financial empire collapses overnight if BYD gains access to our EV market. Literally overnight, his finances collapse. I'd say that's pretty good incentive to go all in on a president that's willing to do anything to the American people. especially if China is working actively to court that president. Y'all may not know who Jinping Zhao is. He's one of the founders of Binance. If you're not into crypto and whatnot, you may not know who Binance is, but he was actually convicted of money laundering. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. The government accused him of allowing terrorist organizations, criminal organizations. You're talking about Hamas. You're talking about seriously evil organizations were moving money through his crypto organization. And they convicted him. They did. They convicted him. And then Trump pardoned him. Spicy gesture. Tip for the custom jar is Democrats, we must stay united. We can't fight each other. A Democrat won recently in Ruby Red District in Texas for the state Senate. There's lots of hope on the horizon. Yep, there is. And I'm not entertaining that bullshit. I'm really not. I am really not. Binance, Zhao here gets a pardon from Trump. Now he owns 87% of Trump's stablecoin. If y'all don't know what stablecoin is, it's just crypto tied to a currency. That's all it is. It's the only difference is between regular crypto and stablecoin is quote tied to a currency's value. So yeah, you've got open corruption going on. You've got a guy that Trump pardons, a Chinese businessman, grew up in China, moved to Canada, founds Binance. He's now worth billions. He gets convicted. I told you, billionaires never go to jail. They never go to jail. Strolls into the White House, cuts a deal with Trump, dumps, what is it, 1.4, $1.7 billion into Trump's crypto, and boom. All of a sudden, Trump is doing everything he can to drive Canada into the arms of China. Mexico into the arms of China. And I know you're saying, well, Paul, that's a reach, man. That's a reach. It's just what happened. It's literally just what happened. Trump pardons Zhao. And the next thing you know, everything Trump is doing, we know historically what his actions do. It jacks up our prices domestically, chokes our economy, which none of which is good politically for a president, but he doesn't really give a shit, does he? Because he's not running again. But everything he does is now driving Canada and Mexico into the arms of China. Meanwhile, Chinese businessman is dumping, we don't know how much money they're going to end up walking away with. We have no idea how much money Trump is going to end up walking away with because of that. And on the other end of it, you've got Elon Musk just fighting for his very financial life, willing to humiliate himself and do anything, literally destroying his customer base. Why? Why would he do that? Why? If it's not just to try to compete for this grifter president. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. Ismail Rivera, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show, Ismail. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. So this just happened. Put a pin in that. This just happened. I want you to, that kind of influence, that kind of grit. Again, don't pay attention to what they say. Just pay attention to what they do. This just happened. Last night at St. Teresa, New Mexico, and El Paso, Texas, inexplicably, the FAA just decided to close their airspace for 10 days. Yeah. They just came out and said, your airspace is now closed. Security reasons is all they said. Now, everybody took a look at this and said, what? They are not going to close this airspace for 10 days. They just aren't. If you don't know what El Paso, just looking at El Paso, tons of international businesses have offices in El Paso. It is a place where lawyers fly into and out of. You know, if you're doing Mexico business in Mexico, South America, chances are you've got an office in El Paso. It's the 23rd largest city in the country. It is a gateway. It is a gateway. Now they've come out and they've tried to say it had to do. Oh, there were drones, man. We had drones that we had to look at, which is bullshit because what they tried to blame this on is there's a pro-immigration group that likes to track Border Patrol using drones. They tried to say that's why they had to close it all down, which is bullshit because they've never been a threat to any aviation. It's completely whole cloth made up. And you already have members of Congress coming out and say, that's not the reason they gave us. There is no threat. Even though they keep saying it was a security threat is why they had to do that. And they immediately backtracked. The FAA immediately backtracked. They've opened the airspace over El Paso. I'm sure they will open the airspace up over St. Teresa anytime now. I mean, minutes to hours, they'll reopen it because this is just exploding all over the news. It's already been lifted. It's already been lifted. Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's no legitimate threat. There's no legitimate reason. You just shut down airspace. Put a pin in that. We're going to tie all this together. We're going to tie these dots together. This just happened just a couple days ago. Trump threatens to block the opening of bridge between U.S. and Canada. You're talking about the Gordie Howe Bridge. This bridge is done. It's scheduled to open in weeks, in just a few weeks. It's done. Massive project. All the reasons Trump gave for not wanting to open the bridge, all the reasons he gave were bullshit. Everything he said in his press release about why he was threatening this bridge is just factually incorrect. It is just fact. And it's keep in mind, during Trump's first term, when this project was starting, he actually praised this bridge. He endorsed this bridge because it's going to mean a lot. It really is. This is what we're talking about here. This is Detroit in Ontario, Canada, Windsor, Ontario. This, go to the map, give you an idea where we're talking about. Okay. This is Michigan. This is Detroit here. Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair. It's the Detroit River that runs in between Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair. There is a ton of international traffic that flows through this area, and this is the new Gordie Howe Bridge. You can see how this would be an incredibly important bridge. Now, what Trump is saying, his reasoning for not allowing this bridge to open is he said, well, Canada's gotta pay us for our investment. Well, that's not true. Canada paid for this bridge. We didn't. Canada, our brothers and sisters up in Canada wanted to improve trade, and they paid for this project because it's going to mean a ton for shipping, for international trade. It's huge. This bridge is going to be huge. The second thing he said was, well, we got screwed, man. We got screwed on this deal. They didn't use any U.S. steel. They didn't use. Oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. Canada and the contractor said, oh, wait a minute. No. Y'all insisted that we buy U.S. steel to build this bridge. So we did. Not only did we pay for the bridge, but y'all insisted we buy U.S. steel to build this bridge. And we did. Here's the receipts. He lied about that. But it's just been one thing after another that he's come out and said, and none of it holds true. So why do it? I love you people so much. I love you people so much. I do. Blown my, I love you people so much. Pascal, neighbor, glad to see you here, man. Thank you. Denmark in the house. Glad to see you, man. Glad to see our Dutch friends here. Well, it makes a lot of sense if you take a look at this map one more time. See, this isn't the only bridge that crosses the Detroit River. There's another bridge. Just go up the river just a little bit, and you have the Ambassador Bridge. The Ambassador Bridge that's already there. Well, surely that wouldn't matter, right? Because, bridges are owned by the states and the governments, like another claim that Trump made about how Canada's screwing us over this bridge. No, they built this bridge and then they gave half of it to Michigan, the state of Michigan. So yeah, Michigan and Canada are both going to make tons of revenue off this bridge. They are. Just toll revenues alone, they're going to make tons of revenue off this bridge. Right? Well, if Michigan and or Canada or somebody owns the Ambassador Bridge, they're already making toll revenue, right? No. George Allen, big business is going to like Trump doing this. Wait for it, George. Wait for it. E.T., the Mad King wants his cut. Corruption abounds. Wait for it. This is Matthew Maroon. Matthew owns a company called Centra. He's worth a couple $2 billion. And you probably never heard of Centra, but I'm sure you've seen their trucks driving up and down the road. PAM Enterprises is a subsidiary of Centra. Well, believe it or not, they own something else. You ever heard that expression, if you believe that, I got a bridge in California to sell you? You ever heard that? Well, yeah. They bought a bridge. The Maroon family bought a bridge. Holy hell, the dumbest person on the planet and the POTUS and the POTUS should not be the same person. I agree with you. I agree with you. You've seen the Pam trucking trucks. Well, Centra also owns the Ambassador Bridge. Yeah. See, Matthew's dad, Manuel Maroon, bought 25% of it back in the 70s, and then bought another 25% from Berkshire Hathaway. And then they've just been working their way through buying this bridge. The Maroons own this bridge lock, stock, and barrel. So they make a ton of money. Every car, every truck, every bit of goods that come across that bridge, they get a tiny taste. Mr. Knudsen, I'm considering a Chinese Zeekr 7 GT at around $35,000. A sporty wagon with 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 5 seconds, 322 miles of range, charged from 10 to 90%, about 13 minutes, boycotting Elon's swastikas. I'm telling you, China's killing it in the EV market. They are. They have completely embraced it. China's companies have done what Ford was doing before Trump fucked Ford. Ford was investing wholly in EVs as the future. China has done that. I'm telling you, Elon Musk is terrified of China getting into the U.S. market. But, Matthew Maroon doesn't just own the bridge. I mean, he's getting toll money. But yeah, he owns the duty-free shops too. Yeah. He's making bank off this bridge. What happens to his fortune if the Gordie Howe Bridge opens? A newer bridge, a more efficient bridge. What happens? The value of his bridge goes way down. The Ambassador Bridge stops looking attractive. I mean, it's old. It's very old. It was built in the mid last century. He loses a ton of money if the Gordie Howe Bridge opens. So he's been fighting it since it was a concept. And it was a Republican governor, Governor Snyder, that actually got this pushed. It is so necessary. But, Maroon just couldn't get his taste. He couldn't get his claws into the project. And he couldn't kill it. The bridge is built. So we thought. Matthew Maroon sat down with Howard Lutnick 1 hour before Donald Trump came out and threatened to not allow this bridge to open. Matthew Maroon lobbied the Trump administration, and we don't know if there's money that's going to go into crypto. We saw with the spy sheik, he just dumped the money into Liberty. Trump and Witkoff's kids, investment company. And then all of a sudden he got to buy AI chips that no one was allowed to buy. Just dump money right into the Trump and Witkoff family and boom, that just happened. Well, Maroon sits down and lobbies the Trump administration, And then inexplicably, a bridge that Trump had once endorsed, suddenly we can't open it. And we don't know yet what the financial windfall will be for the Trump family for doing this. But this is so blatant, so out in the open. Even Cletus understands this. Even Cletus gets this. And there has been a massive backlash against this. There has. That bridge is going to open. That bridge is going to open. Even Republicans are shining as much light on this as possible so that, yeah, even Cletus will get this. If they continue to do this, this is going to absolutely, there's no, you can't put that shit back in the horse. George Allen, thank you. Amazing angle, Paul. Thanks. Now, I want you to think about that, though. I want you to think about the way this regime operates. They've got Elon Musk bent over here. You've got Trump doing everything. He's driving Canada and Mexico into the arms of China. Everything. If you just look at what they're doing and don't listen to the bullshit, always comes back to a grift. China's suddenly dumping billions of dollars into the Trump family. You know, a Chinese businessman is literally dumping billions of dollars into the Trump family. Meanwhile, Trump is driving two of our largest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, into the arms of China. Thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Don't listen to the talk. Just look at what's happening. Just watch what is happening. The Gordie Howe Bridge, all of the shit that they said, easily disprovable. Easily disprovable. But they've scared a lot of people. Canada has invested billions into this bridge. Michigan has invested, you're talking about the roads, the facilities, it's not just the bridge. I mean, you've got to be able to funnel traffic to it. You've got to build the highway systems to funnel traffic to it. You have to, funnel traffic off of it. You've got to build the facilities to get through customs. You've got Canadian customs, you've got American customs. Then yes, you're going to have the duty-free stores, and you're going to have the foot traffic. You're going to have this is not just the bridge, people. And the Maroon family has been trying to kill or get a taste of this bridge forever. And now that all the money's been spent and everybody is at the point where they've got to recoup, our Canadian brothers and sisters have to recoup this. They can't just eat this bridge. Here comes Trump, fresh off a meeting with the Maroon family, blatantly saying things that just aren't true, that are provably not true. Do you think maybe the Maroon family is going to get a taste? Because they can't really stop the bridge. Too many people are dependent on it. Too many people are investing in it. They can't really stop the bridge. Do you think the Maroon family is going to get a taste? And what's Trump going to get on the backside? Now that sounds like a grift, man. And Trump, when he sees a way that he can make some money, he just does it. Doesn't give a shit if it hurts you and me. Doesn't give a shit if he looks dirty. Hey, he's not running for office again. Trump gave him immunity for the Supreme Court gave him immunity for anything he does as president, even if it enriches himself. As long as he does it under the collar of president, nobody can touch him. To Tone 181, we got the Ambassador Bridge. It's still open. He's not affecting nothing but deflecting. Oh, believe me, he is. He is, brother. He is. You have no idea how much more traffic is going to come across the Gordie Howe Bridge than the Ambassador Bridge. Tony Mason, I mean, you're going to see 60 to 70% more traffic over the Gordie Howe Bridge than you see over the Ambassador Bridge. The Ambassador Bridge is old as shit. It is not efficient. Tony, thanks for supporting the show, brother. But think about that for a second. Trump just got lobbied. Cash coming in. That's what lobbying means. Lobbying isn't, hey, please let me tell you my story. No, lobbying is writing checks, man. Just got lobbied from the Maroon family for putting his thumb on a project. Did the same thing with the New York tunnel. Almost done. I mean, they're into the part that is the most expensive part of that construction. And Trump just says, you're going to name some airports after me. You're going to name Penn Station after me. And what else? That's the part that was the noise. No, we have to watch and see what happens with this project. Does Don Jr. suddenly open up a company that supplies to tunnel boring companies? Does Elon Musk's boring company suddenly get a contract? We've got to watch and find out what's the other end of that. Yeah, Trump's figuring out a whole new grift, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, the FAA, for security reasons that they cannot validate, just shut down a major international airport. Just because they can. Yeah, this is Trump's new grift. This is Trump's new grift. That's what El Paso and St. Teresa was all about. There was no security threat at all. This is Trump showing the entire world, I can fuck with your business. Pay me. And he's doing it in broad daylight. Carl Rossi is, if this keeps up, Trump will try to bring back Trump steaks by screwing the ranchers, Trump water by choking off the Colorado, open up the university. Oh, no shit, man. It's open grifting season. Jordan B. Miller, Canada should close down their side of the Ambassador Bridge until Trump opens the Gordie Howe Bridge. Yeah, Canada's not going to sit back and take this. They're not. And they're not going to forget either. They're not going to forget either that we Americans did this to them. I mean, I want you to think about that deal that they paid for the construction of the bridge, a bridge that is actually going to benefit us more than them. It's going to benefit Canada, but dollar-wise, just to the sheer size of the U.S. economy, we're going to benefit more off that bridge than they are. And they paid to build the bridge. And they built it with U.S. steel, which ain't cheap, by the way. What do you think that's going to do to our U.S.-Canada relationship? Maybe drive them to China? Don't pay attention to what gets said. Pay attention to what happens and what it means when these things happen. DK Walk. When everything they say is a lie, you have to look at their actions to get the truth. Then you can conclude that everything they do is illegal. Vincent Day, I swear, if all the people who bought Trump each got a body part, most wouldn't get more than an ear because there are so many. Yep. Trump is selling out. He knows he's done. He's done. This is it. This is his last hurrah. He's got to smash and grab as much as he possibly can. And that is exactly what happened with the FAA. But you know what, folks? Trump may have immunity, but Lutnick doesn't. Mataku, is it really only tech billionaires behind all of this fascism? Software isn't physical. Supplies can't like this. I don't understand. Suppliers can't like this. I don't understand. Again, Ford was in a position, had positioned themselves. They were going to destroy Tesla. They were going to absolutely destroy Tesla. And Trump absolutely undercut their entire business model. Ford had aligned itself to move to compete with BYD in the future, to compete with Tesla in the future. They had already announced that every one of their car models was going to move to becoming electric. They had a 10-year plan to do that. They did. Trump just cut their Achilles heel. Everything he did with his executive orders regarding, electric vehicles and all the subsidies that were going to electric vehicles, and everybody said, well, that hurt Tesla too. Not really. Not like it hurt their competitors. Tesla already had the market share. Tesla already had the vehicles. Tesla already had the factory tooling in place. Every one of their competitors were investing. They weren't in the return portion of the business phase. So yeah, Elon Musk takes it on the chin some, but BYD, their main competitor, is now out of the market. And Ford is scrambling to reinvent their whole future business model. Elon Musk didn't want to compete with a real car manufacturer that's been doing this forever. And now he doesn't have to. Don't listen to what they say. Listen to what's happened. Look at what's happened. And then make your conclusions as to why. But folks, Weird Idaho Liberal says, I'm so sick of this spoiled, rotten, dumb toddler and the rest of the children of the corn. Yeah, it at the end of it, like we talked about the tariffs, we get screwed, just like when McKinley did it. The American people got screwed. The Canadian people got screwed, but McKinley didn't care. Trump doesn't care. E.T., for many that were close to dropping him, the Mad King has now gone a bridge too far for them. He's also screwing over U.S. beef again as well. Yep. His business buddies are invested down in Argentina and Brazil. American beef manufacturers get screwed. Brazilian and Argentinian beef outfits get subsidies. Ignore everything that got said. That's what happened. Ollie, I believe Trump wants to grift, then burn it all down for revenge. Yep. I don't think he gives a shit what happens to anybody. He's a dead man walking. He's literally dying right in front of us. The Grim Reaper is hot on his ass. And he knows it. He knows this is his last presidency. He's building as big a war chest as he can build for him and his kids. And he doesn't give a shit what happens next. 3 more years of this Trumpian nightmare. Will our republic survive? Yes. Yes, it will. Will it be changed forever? Probably. Probably. Oh, man, I hope your coffee's is hitting as good as mine. I really do hope your coffee's hitting as good as mine. But yeah, we're starting to see some fallout from this. We are. It's coming apart at the seams because Lutnick already has a problem on his hands, folks. He already has a problem on his hands. I want you to hear this exchange. He was just sitting down before Congress. I want you to hear this exchange.
Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation.
Now, I want you to take for a second, and again, you got to ignore what he's saying. What did he do? Ignore what he's saying. He's trying to use his children and his wife as his human shields to say, oh, I didn't do anything untoward. All these people were there. Wait a minute. This was after Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted that you went to his island. This was after Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted that you chartered a boat and went to his island. And you took here your young children? I'm sorry, but if your neighbor was convicted or anybody in your family was convicted of raping underage children, of trafficking underage children, any of those crimes, would you take your children to their house? Would you take your young nannies to their house? I wouldn't. Yet that's the best muck up the waters, cloud the waters defense he can come up with. I took young children to see the child trafficker. That's their best defense. Yet Lutnick's not out of a job. Lutnick's not out of a job. He's not fired. In fact, Trump has come out and in support of Howard Lutnick. I'm not even kidding. Let's talk about the nannies for a second. Let's talk about the nannies for a second. See, and I want you to watch how uncomfortable Lutnick is here.
Questions I have before we close. One is just to follow up on one of your responses with respect to the Epstein files, specifically the visit you and your family took to Epstein's private island in 2012. And I think you also said you went on his yacht. Is that right? Or both? No.
No.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
At that time, I think you mentioned that you were accompanied by your wife and kids and nannies. My question is, do you know whether the nanny that you had on that trip was the same nanny that Jeffrey Epstein expressed interest in meeting?
No, I have no idea about that whole thing. I mean, I don't recall it having anything to do with me, and I don't know that.
Now, I just want to be crystal clear about something. The Republicans have this thing. I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't hear about that. I don't know. I didn't know. Look how uncomfortable Lutnick is. And there's a reason he's uncomfortable, and he should be. His ass is grass right now, and you are the lawnmower. Mr. Knudsen, Lutnick did not get a sweet deal on the house next to Epstein by chance. Everything looks like he got it as a reward for past and future favors to powerful people in Epstein's orbit. Yep. What they're talking about with the nanny is this. This is what Lutnick claims to not know anything about. He just doesn't know anything about this. Maybe they should subpoena Allison Lutnick and see if she knows anything about this, what happened with her nanny. This is an email to Jeffrey Epstein from Richard Kahn. I'll explain to you Richard Kahn in just a second. It says, attached is a resume of Lutnick nanny. I'm trying to arrange time via Peter for you to meet her. What it sounds like is that, Epstein kind of liked this young nanny. Wanted to hire her. I mean, why else would you need a resume? This is Richard Kahn. That was the guy that was sending the email to Jeffrey Epstein. Richard Kahn was Jeffrey Epstein's accountant. So yeah, they were seriously going to hire one of the Lutnicks. Jeffrey Epstein's next door neighbor might have seen that nanny around. They were going to hire one of the nannies. Well, let me ask you. If you've got, I don't know, anybody, a gardener, you got a guy that cuts you got a guy that comes and cuts you, a neighborhood kid that comes and cuts your grass. And then the neighbor hires him. You think you're going to find out? Think you're going to know anything about it? Of course you are. Of course you are. I mean, at the very least, you're going to walk outside and you're going to see he's cutting your neighbor's grass. You're going to tell me that somebody that Howard Lutnick and Allison Lutnick hired to care for their children while they lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein in New York City is getting hired by Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein is obviously, and the best he could come up with is, I didn't know anything about that. I don't know anything about any of that. I don't know. Yeah. But Lutnick still has a job. And Lutnick's not getting fired. Bald Thanos, I know nothing. Yep. Every Republican has suddenly turned into Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing. I have not seen that. I don't know. I know nothing. I know nothing. Why does he still have a job? I don't know. He just sat down with Matthew Maroon while Maroon lobbied the Trump administration how much cash ended up going into Trump businesses. This is what this administration is. You've got Stephen Miller throwing red meat to the base to keep the bigots on board. The hate factory, keeping the bigots on board. And then you've got the rest of the administration running the grift, man. Running the grift. You've got Kristi Noem on her modeling gig, running around, creating content for the old right-wing MAGA depraved sons of bitches to jerk off to. Meanwhile, you've got Corey Lewandowski, the guy with the worst impulse control of any human and on the history of all humanity, running the Department of Homeland Security, which he never had to be confirmed by Congress because he couldn't be confirmed by Congress. People, just look at what's happening. Ignore what the press says. Ignore what I say. Ignore what anybody says. Just look at what happens, who gets paid, who's been paying, and what happens for them, and it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Trump all of a sudden is screwing with Russia. Yeah. Their ghost fleet, those tankers he keeps seizing, those are Russia's tankers. Those are part of their ghost fleet. Why would Trump suddenly, who's been sucking Putin's ass, decide, fuck Russia? Why would Trump, who's been was when he came into office perfectly content to insult the leader of Ukraine, to put as much pressure, he had Pete Hegseth cut off arms to Ukraine, in which case Pete Hegseth fell on that sword and said, "Oh, I did that on my own." Yeah. Do you really think that the Fox News producer just decided on his own to cut off arms to Ukraine, to turn the planes around that were delivering arms to Ukraine and aid to you? Do you think he made that decision on his own? I don't believe that. You don't believe that. Nobody believes that. All they did was insulate Trump by Pete Hegseth falling on a sword and say, "I did that." We've gone from that to seizing Russian oil. Because that's technically what it is. It may have come out of the ground in Venezuela. It may have been pumped into a tanker from Venezuela, but that's a Russian tanker heading to Russia's customers. That's Russia's oil, man. And we're taking it. I wonder what could cause that. I mean, maybe Russia didn't pump a couple $1 billion into Trump's pocket in broad daylight like China did. If you just stop listening to the bullshit, if you just stop listening to the background noise and just say, okay, A, B, and C happened. Who benefited? Okay, what did they do for D, E, and F after everybody over here benefited? It's not confusing anymore. Mighty cool. And the age of the nanny. Yep. Jeff Schuler says Raskin did a search and Trump in the unredacted Epstein files at the DOJ and got over 1 million hits. Yep. I told you this Epstein stuff is not going away, people. It is not. It is just going to be one drip after another, after another, after another. Jamie Raskin came out after viewing the unredacted files and said, look, I did a search for Trump's name. It popped up over 1 million times. And he had to stress, this is not hyperbole. This is not hyperbole. It just is. This is going to happen, folks. This is going to happen. ET, he still has his job because of the pedo in chief. Because Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. I tell you who does care. And oh, by the way, I want to tell you, as far as the Epstein files, and it keeps coming, that email where it says trying to arrange for you to meet this nanny through Peter. Right now, people are trying to figure out, was it Peter Mendelsohn, the UK ambassador, or was it Peter Attia? This is Peter Attia. He's a longevity doctor that has been really popular with the uber wealthy, supposedly trying to keep all these old fuckers alive. He is all over the Epstein files. He is all over the Epstein files. And I want to pause this for a second. I keep telling you this, folks. Republicans keep trying to sell that Texas is a rich state. We are not. Texas is a very, very poor state. See, Peter Attia, he did what Joe Rogan did. He bought a place in Austin, which makes me laugh because it's a thing among the right wingers to say, they'd like to say, I must be from Austin. That's why I talk that way. Because, Austin isn't Texas, Yeah, all right. Well, all of these people keep moving to Austin. See, the reason he moved to Austin is if he lives in Austin, he doesn't pay taxes. He doesn't pay state taxes. We don't have a state income tax. We don't. And I keep telling you people, if you peel the scab off, if you take these people out of the mix and quit counting their money as part of, Texas's overall wealth, we're fucking poor. We're Mississippi poor. ET, it is less than 38 weeks until the general election. Make sure your voter registration of your voter registration deadlines. Make sure of your early voting dates. Get involved. And this is what I mean. He may live in Austin, but no, he treats his customer base. He does his podcast from Austin, but his customer base, his clinics, they're in New York City. They're in California. He's licensed to practice in California, New York City, and Texas. He makes his money in that New York City. They train all the Texans to think that they're superior to New York, yet everybody that tells them that shit makes their money in fucking New York. Where do you think he spends his money? See, if he doesn't spend it here in Texas, we don't tax it. And why would he spend it here in Texas? He's rich. He's going to buy a lot of expensive shit. Why would you buy it in a state that's going to slap a sales tax on top of all the shit you buy? No, what they do is they move here because they can build. I promise you, the houses they build here, folks, if you try to build them in New England or you tried to build them out on the West Coast, would cost you 6 to 10 times more. It's cheap to build here. Why? Because we're fucking poor. So they build these palatial mansions that would cost them 6 to 10 times as much to build out in California or New York. So they got to pad the land here. And they don't pay taxes. They don't pay any state taxes. They fuck the two states, California and New York. They fuck those states out of their income, but they make their money there. New York and California need to address this. They really do. They really do. Because we here in Texas are paying for their infrastructure, and those people don't spend their goddamn money here. So we don't get any tax revenue off of them. If they want to buy something expensive, they go somewhere else and buy it. And yeah, Peter Attia's all over the Epstein files, all over with some really nasty shit. McBassage, that adrenochrome and platinum HC going to keep cadaver Donnie Dwindles rolling until he completely decomposes. They're going to weaken and Bernie, that son of a bitch. They're grifting so much money off of him. They are. Trader 45, Trader Hater 45, Trader 45 Hater. Thank you for being here. Other countries are likely going to provide more Epstein files information than our own DOJ. Yep, that's happening. That's happening. Dave Barone, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I gotta laugh. JD Vance is trying so hard to do his preview, like I can step in, and he keeps humiliating himself. We're trying to make nice with the Turks right now. We're trying to make nice with the Turks. JD Vance, after he got booed at the Olympics, went to an Armenian ceremony where there was just an outright genocide in Turkey, in eastern Turkey. They literally drove the Armenians out of their country. They did. It's for another show. I mean, we could get into it and all the details of it. But yeah, it was straight up, if you stay in Turkey, we're going to kill you. They literally enslaved these people and worked them to death. The Armenians very much call it a genocide. They hold, like we have the laying of the wreath at the unknown soldier and things like that. They have a similar ceremony where they mark this genocide every year. JD Vance goes to this event and then posts about it online. Trump's trying to kiss Turkey's ass right now. Trump is just doing everything he can to frickin' lick Erdogan's taint, because Erdogan has more power in Syria than we do. Yeah, all of northern Syria is under Erdogan's influence right now. Ahmed al-Shara is very tight with Erdogan. No Erdogan, there's no Ahmed al-Shara running Syria. Syria's pissed. Pardon me. Turkey's pissed. They're furious. They deny that ever happened. The official position of the Trump regime is it never happened. And JD fucking Vance goes to the goddamn ceremony and lays a wreath and posts about it online. Yeah, JD Vance ain't ready for primetime. He's just not ready for primetime. He's not. He's humiliating himself at every freaking turn. So yeah, they're going to weaken and burnish Trump as long as they can, because they know their backup guy. Yeah, this isn't going to work. He is going to be more awkward than Gerald Ford. Y'all remember when Gerald Ford tried to eat the tamale and tried to bite through the corn husk? Yeah, he's going to be more awkward than Gerald Ford. Rich Lawton, liking and sharing to share the hard truths. I appreciate you, brother. I really do. I really do. To you, I appreciate you being here. I really do. I really appreciate you. Bunny Girl says, glad I found your channel. I appreciate you, Bunny Girl. I really do. But yeah, the dam is breaking. Republicans have figured out they're screwed, man. They are screwed. See, you know how Fox News is just an extension of the Republican Party and the Trump regime? It's literally their communications department. Chandra Patton, amen. I'm so glad you're always here, Chandra. FUBAR. If you don't know what FUBAR means, it means fucked up beyond all recognition. It's a military term. When it all goes bad and you're screwed, you're FUBAR. But yeah, Little Johnson has been just like Fox News. He has done everything he can to make Congress subservient to Donald Trump. See, on this whole tariffs thing, Trump doesn't have the legal ability to tariff these people. And he's losing in court over that. You see it. They're having to retailor these. But this could have been ended immediately if Congress had stepped up and said, no, this is our purview. You can't do this. That court case would have been over. It is so clear in the Constitution. Even the Supreme Court, who does not want a Democrat to be able to do, the members of the Supreme Court are saying this shit out loud. All of these cases are structured so that when a Democrat tries to do it, oh no, they can 180 degrees. George Allen, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. They've just come out and said this. Amy Coathanger Barrett has come out and said, we have structured these decisions so that none of them create precedents. Yeah, we're not ending these discussions. We're intentionally making these decisions on procedural grounds rather than actually dealing with the issue, because they know when a Democrat's in power, they're going to flip 180 degrees. Well, Little Johnson has been doing the exact same thing. He knows this tariff shit is unconstitutional, and they could have put a stop to it instantly. But they, being a subservient to the Trump regime, Johnson's been doing stuff like this. Johnson moves, this is on the 9th, by the way. Johnson moves to again block House from voting on Trump's tariffs. Yeah. The Democrats, they don't have power. There isn't a lot they can do. There's just some parliamentary tricks where they can get stuff, brought up to a vote. Well, they can't even really do that wholly because, again, Johnson can do things like move to table it, move to delay it until the time period for which the motion will expire. He's done this once before on tariffs. He just did it again. But this time, no. That's how we started. This is how we're going. GOP revolt sinks effort to block votes on Trump tariffs. So yeah, in the next couple of days, maybe even this afternoon, we're going to get a vote on those 25% tariffs that Trump slapped on Canada. Thomas Massey, Kevin Kiley, who's probably going to lose his seat in this election. He's trying desperately to he's fighting for his political life. Kevin Kiley and Don Bacon of Nebraska. Don Bacon is retired. He doesn't give a shit. He's out. Yeah. They crossed the aisle, voted with the Democrats, and we are going to get a vote on those Canada tariffs now. Republicans are going to go on the record See, we're about, we're in tough financial times, folks. Let me see if the jobs reports came out yet. Yep. Yep. Here we go. I haven't had a chance to analyze the jobs report because I was looking into the bridge and things like that this morning. We'll talk about that more on Friday's show. But apparently the jobs numbers that the government put out, none too bueno. None too bueno. Yeah. Not going to be a good day. Not going to be a good day. I follow ADP for the jobs reports. Those are private industry. That's who investment firms, that's who corporations pay to get their accurate job information. The shit that comes out of the government under this administration is always bullshit. They always have to, they'll come back in 4 to 6 months and they always end up slashing the numbers that this administration put out in jobs. Everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. This is none too bueno, my people. None too bueno. But yeah, folks, you're starting to see cracks within the Republicans. 8 months to the election, and they are in full-on panic over the numbers. If we can keep our messaging on par, if we can keep filling the space, and I just want to tell you again, folks, I just want to remind people, we've got so many new people in the audience, probably haven't heard me talk about it before. Every American only has a finite amount of time to ingest information. What we do here, you only have so much time to do this. You've got lives, man. You've got lives. You've got things you've got to do. Hell, you got to take a shower. You got to brush your teeth. You got to go to the bathroom. You've got to eat lunch. You've got to do things with your spouse. You've got to cuddle your spouse. I mean, you've got to, you've got shit to do. You've got hobbies. You've got jobs. You've got things that demand your attention. And after you take all of that off the table, what's left is called the space. And I'll tell you, Steve Bannon is really good at filling the space. This craziness shit that comes out of Trump, he knows his base isn't going anywhere. He knows. Donald Trump could shit on their kids' heads and they would still excuse it. He knows that. But it fills the space. It makes you talk about anything other than what Donald Trump doesn't want you to talk about. And we on the left have way too many people, way too many populists that are filling that space with anti-democratic rhetoric. Yep. 8 months to the election, folks. 8 months to the election. Everything we need to be talking about is things like Maroon lobbies Trump. Trump blocks bridge. Maroon owns competing bridge. Short, sweet, corruption in your face. Fill the space with that. Fill the space with all the awful shit coming out of the Epstein files. Fill the space. There is a reason Jamie Raskin ran to a mic and put that little soundbite out there. Trump is in the unredacted Epstein files more than 1 million times. That's our job. I mean, I keep telling you folks, Humans have a really bad habit. We look at other humans and we think they are as capable and smart, and they're seeing things like we're seeing them. They're reasoning things out. They have the same values. That's what human beings do. That's why all of MAGA thinks that we're paid. We're not paid. Because they're paid to protest. They're not going to get off their ass and protest anything unless they get paid. They can't imagine us, like the great people of Minnesota have been getting out and protesting in 5-degree weather. They cannot imagine that because they put their fucked up work values on us. Yeah. And we do it going the other direction. You give them way too much credit. Way too much credit. So I'm constantly reminding you folks, you're it. You're who we got. I need you managing those messages going into the space. I need you using your social media time, your social time. When politics comes up, steer that conversation to what you want to fill the space with. And the goal, piss people off. Make people angry. Even Cletus can understand. Cletus have job. Cletus make more money if bridge open. Donald Trump closed bridge because billionaire pay Trump bribe. Even dumbass Cletus can get that. He understands that simple, calculus. Need you people doing that, folks. That's why I was so harsh on that person earlier in the show. I do not have time. And I'm going to say something that's going to make a lot of people really upset. I don't give a shit right now about, I have spent decades fighting for the Palestinian people to have autonomy and their own support. I have. I care about the left in Israel. I do. There are people that are just like us, where we oppose Trump and the Trump regime. There are people in Israel that oppose Netanyahu, and they are on the left. They're good and decent people. But that will not be the focus in my election. I don't give a shit. It will not. I'm not going to do it. I am not going to entertain anything that drives a wedge in our party and fills the space with anything. I see the word AIPAC and you're gone. Not because I love everything that's going on there. No, I am staying on message, period. We're not doing this. I'm not playing your fucking game. Everything is on the line. Way more than the Levant. We're talking globally. Everything is on the line. When you take the world's most powerful country with the world's most powerful military and you send it down this shithole direction, the whole world suffers. That's what's on the line. It's our responsibility to stay on message. And that message has to be anti-Republican, pissing people off. People don't vote to say thank you. People vote to say fuck you. And it is your job to make sure that they are pissed enough by the time this election rolls around to look at these Republicans and say, fuck you. So we're going to talk about the economy. We're going to talk about the jobs. We're going to talk about the unemployment rate. We're going to fill that space with so much anti-democratic, anti-Republican, anti-Trump shit that no one's going to have time to talk about that shit. Oregon wine lady, quick question. If they are actually deporting all illegal immigrants, why are they planning so many detention camps? Yep. That's something else. They're building concentration camps right here, right in front of us. Right here, right in front of us. E.T., I call it the information bandwidth bubble, or IBB. Yep, it's the space. TubeKurt, do not make me enjoy Texas cities at night. This seems like you're wrapping it up. I am. We've been going for an hour and a half, and you've got things to do. I've got things to do. That's what I've got for you today. George Allen, as in 2018, this year is incredibly important. This is, we say it. It's the most important election of your life. I just want you to imagine if we lose the midterms. Just imagine it. Imagine what they're going to do. You think they're doing awful things now to people. Imagine what they're going to do if they win the midterm. Brian Peach, voting Democrat is the only way forward for my friends down south. Love you all except. I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, folks. Well, that's what I have for you today. Let's keep banging away. Let's keep beating the shit out of these Republicans. Let's do it. Let's get this done. Let's return decency back to the United States of America. Let's make government boring again. Let's make government so damn transparent, doing the right thing, making the sausage everyday business instead of this insanity of someone trying to shut down $1 billion bridge to grift. Let's make it boring again. Put me out of a job. Let's do that. Let's do that for our kids and our grandkids. And on that note, enjoy some Texas cities. Oh, wait a minute. I did want to take a chance. A lot of you reached out via PayPal and Zelle. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happened, but the amount of support that we've been getting for this show that is not through the usual YouTube channels, for some reason, skyrocketed. And I just wanted to say thank you. I am truly grateful. Again, you have allowed me to do this as my full-time job. And I can't thank you enough. I hope that I am delivering something to you and for you that you find is worth the support that you're giving. I am truly grateful. Thank you. Now, on that note, one more comment. Stephen Lee says, later, fam. And on that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.